have my amp hooked up this season. This season of my life, I have my amp hooked up. But something always brings me back to the bass guitar when I'm feeling some type of way. I don't know what it is about these upcoming video topics that have been really hard for me to think about any kind of thing to put with them. But I'm glad I figured it out somewhat. And as you can see by the video title, we're going to be figuring out this balance exists, what it is, what it looks like, how it could look in a perfect world, and all those kind of wonderful things. So if you want to see me struggle to find it while also maintaining it at the same time, keep watching. Don't be afraid. I'm not coming out with the brand new career in music or anything like that, so don't be too shook. But I have had my bass guitar since I was 15 years old, and I was so obsessed with it and got really interested, and I still am, in how to play it and everything. But I realized that isn't everything that it takes to learn an instrument, and it took until 22 for me to realize what the frets are. I'll probably just put up the word frets because I don't even think I'm saying it right, but it is a learning process, and my bass guitar has been staring me down to play with her and everything. So that's what I'm doing in this clip. And I've been trying to figure out ways to incorporate this into my schedule as much as possible because I like the bass and I like the way it feels when I play it. I like everything. I like figuring out new chords and everything. So I've been trying to take 20 minutes out of my schedule every day to make sure that I play my bass and have fun while I'm doing it, while also in my spare time doing what I love, which is listening to music and noticing those songs that have bass guitar chords in it and try to replicate it, which is what you can see me doing here. But this is like something very new that I've started picking up again because I've already had this around, so I wouldn't say it's too new, but it's new for me to pick up as of now. And you may be wondering, what is this poorly lit video next to, well, they're both poorly lit, but what is this other poorly lit video next to the bass guitaring? That's me working out at home, not only because I'm antisocial, but because I don't have a gym membership, and I am not too worried about one either. But I'm working out at home, showing you a little bit of what I'm doing, just to show you a little bit of that, more of what I try to put into my schedule. With this balance, working out is huge to me. As artists, 9 times out of 10 we're sitting down, and so making sure that I get active and working out and taking as much time as I need to do so, because I know that so much of my job and my life is spent sitting down, that I like to make sure that I move as much as humanly possible. So with this aspect of my schedule, I like to spend anywhere from 45 minutes to possibly 2 hours working out, depending on how long I get my steps in for. Back to this art stuff. Yeah, I try to spend as much time on this as my eyes will allow because it's my oxygen. A while today because that was what the emotions was telling me to do, but I wanted to show, I wanted to do more texture. And speaking of more texture, I felt the need to come in here and just say we don't need to have our schedules ridiculously busy. There's no real rhyme or reason for that. Have a few things that you like to do and be a happy human. I think I want to do another layer on top of this where I go through and I don't know, probably add more, but I was using the literally just this and like the mixing wand and a sponge. But that's that one. And then there's this one. So this one is from today. He looks very, and it apparently is a he, but he's very fun. I stopped here. I always can tell where I stopped. But yes, this is my everything. So I try to give as much time to it as I can. So in a given day, I try to give about at minimum 4 hours to art. Whether that's for the artist part of my other job, the artist part of this job, the artist part of me that just needs to get art out. Because I'm also an artist that just likes to do art for fun. But yeah, you may notice this green one. He has metamorphosized. As I said, he might. And he did. But yes, he has a brother and I'm working on him now. And so this is another part of that balance segment. This is keeping in mind there isn't just one type of art that I'm talking about either. This is clay, paint, drawing on my tablet, drawing with traditional. This is art, taking in art, watching other people do art in general. That's what what that 4 hours is dedicated to, for sure. Then for another layer of my life, we have working. One of these positions takes up about 16 hours out of my entire month, so that's not bad. And then another one during the semester takes up 40 hours, and then not during the semester it takes up about 64 hours. So I have time to dedicate to that as well. And this is also like so we can keep it very much so in the real world. Like, people have jobs that they need to tend to and responsibilities. For you, it may look like you having one job and needing to take care of your kids, or you being a single mom and you need to work 2 jobs and come home to your kids. Learning whatever that balance looks like for you is what I'm saying with this segment. So those responsibilities that are going to be there no matter what, factoring in those hours as well. Then we have the other side of those mandatory responsibilities that don't get us money, like self-care, like taking showers, brushing teeth, doing facials, and moisturizing our skin, massages, all those kind of things. Whatever you consider to be like self-maintenance, that takes up time too. I would say I don't really calculate how long it takes, because some days I may need to be in that shower a little longer than others, and that's just what it needs to be. So taking the time out to figure out how long you give to those things, sometimes it can be a little long, and I do try to scale back, but knowing what that is for you as well. Maybe if it helps for you to think about your life like that, to where you can separate it by how many weeks, how many hours are in the week, how many hours you got to take away to do X, Y, and Z. Maybe that may help you. It helps me sometimes. I know I just structured the whole 8 minutes of this first part talking about how much, I use it and whatever. It helps me occasionally. Sometimes it doesn't help. Sometimes I need to be a little bit less math driven on how I get everything done. Life is very spontaneous, and you can't be upset with yourself if you don't end up making the time slots that you made for yourself or getting to everything that you put on your to-do list. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, and we gotta learn how to balance our lives even despite that. And I want to give like a visual representation of what I mean of what balance even is and when we're in it, because we can achieve it. It just isn't for a very long time. So this is the balance line, right? And then you're going to come in and go through the ebbs and flows like a normal human would. So you are more of this squiggly line. You're going up and down. You're going through ebbs and flows. And if you notice, we all hit that balance line multiple times throughout the lifetime. And we'll reach balance multiple times, but we'll also spend a lot of time out of balance as well. But when we're there, we gotta appreciate that and strategize when we're in that moment. And so that is how I think about balance, being in it, what it looks like, and all those different kind of things. So that's a visual representation for all of my visual folks out there. So keeping that in mind, we can be a lot more graceful with ourselves when we don't have enough time or energy to put towards all those little things we want to start, whether that be learning the cello or tap dancing or skydiving. I feel like I always go to skydiving. I love the air. But if we feel like we don't have enough time to put towards those things, it's probably because we don't. But when you carve that time, even when you are on the upside of the purple line or the downside, you're still going to have enough muscle memory to plan it in other ways. So like, I'm going to make sure that I get to it this week, and I'm going to make sure to read this book about it and watch this video telling me more about it. Even if I cannot physically get my hands on the cello, I'm going to be learning about the cello. I'm going to be talking about the cello, watching videos on the cello, something to keep me engaged with this other thing that I want to indulge myself in. Because there are plenty of things that I did not put in here. I didn't put in here the fact that I like to collect comic books, that I like to read, that I like to get my steps in, that I like to, and how much time that actually takes, that I like to go out with my friends, I like to spend time with my family, and then I also just like to do tarot readings. I like to spend a lot of time with self-care. I like to do nerdy stuff. I like to play The Sims. All of those little pockets of my personality, I try to make sure that they all get attention. But there are times in my life where I have to prioritize certain things over others, obviously, like most humans have to do. But we just have to figure out how to feed ourselves so that we do not go into this world cranky, feeding ourselves with things like The Sims and comic book collecting, so that we can be happy and also show up in those very adult, responsible parts of our lives. In conclusion, does balance exist? Yes. Does it exist for a long time? Heck no. But when we're there, that's when we need to be strategizing, planning, and, really analyzing and putting our foot to the pavement. So, although it may not be there for a long time, it's there for a good time. So work with it. And even if you feel like, that's not enough time, figure out how to embrace it in those moments when you're out of balance as well. But don't try too hard to focus on balance. We're human beings. No part of us is in balance. Not one eye to the other, not one hand to the other hand. No part of us is in balance all the time. We're humans. We ebb, we flow, we change. So don't stress balance. I feel like this Western world, Western ways of thinking have made us very, very strict about how we view every part of our productivity, what it means to be productive even, and what it means to just be a human, to just exist and be okay in that, and knowing that that was pretty much what we were supposed to be doing here anyway. So yeah, finding a balance between your work life, personal life, self-care, family, friends, it's a lot. And it's always going to be a challenge. But if you're able to sit back and reflect on, you can't look at it in the math way. You can look at it in a to-do list kind of way. You can look at it in I like this kind of stuff, I want to prioritize this, and being able to figure it out that way. But I'm going to let you hear just slight of me figuring out after so many years of me figuring out the bass. So enjoy that. Thank you for watching. This has been a transformative experience.